Owl, seriously. I was just about to design my legacy piece. But what if I'm more into burgers in 2 weeks? Or tacos?
Hoodie, you're suffering from an acute case of future thinker anxiety. While almost 50% of your generation is already getting ink under their skin, you belong to a minority whose psychology is far more complex than you think.
Really? I thought I was just a wimp.
On the contrary, your blank canvas reveals more about your character, your perception of time, and your sense of freedom than any piece of ink art. Put the pen down. I'm going to explain the invisible flex of the unmarked. In a world where tattoos have become the standard, completely blank skin acts almost as a provocation. We constantly analyze why people get tattooed, but we almost never ask why some people never do. Is it fear of pain, laziness, or are they just boring? Psychology says no. I will now explain to you why the absence of ink is often a sign of a rare combination of traits. The time travelers. Future self-continuity. One of the deepest reasons lies in how people relate to the factor of time. Psychologists call it future self-continuity. This is the ability to imagine yourself in 10, 20, or 40 years as the same person. People without tattoos often have an extremely strong perception here. To them, it feels like they are making a final decision for a stranger. They know that their taste, their values, and their identity will change significantly over decades. While others live in the moment, the ink-free engage in future-focused thinking. They have the gift of anticipating future regret before it can even arise. But what if it's not about fear of tomorrow, but about the greed for today? The paradox of freedom, free spirits, and commitment. There is a type of person we call the free spirit. They love spontaneity, change, and the flow of life. And exactly here lies the paradox. Tattoos don't feel like an expression to them, but like chains. Psychologically speaking, they avoid tattoos because they symbolize finality. They don't want to commit. Their philosophy of life is fluid and flexible. A tattoo would be like a freeze frame in a movie that is actually about movement. They protect their freedom by preserving their skin as an open, unwritten possibility. But don't you also know someone who has been talking about getting a tattoo for years but ultimately never does it? The perfectionist and decision fatigue. Welcome to the world of the overthinker. These people suffer from massive decision fatigue, decision-making exhaustion. They have thousands of designs saved, hundreds of artists researched, but they never take action. Why? Because for them, every detail must be absolutely perfect. They are afraid of a mistake that cannot be undone with Ctrl+Z. Tattoos have no return policy, and for a perfectionist, this finality is the ultimate psychological punishment. Their abstinence is not a lack of interest, but a protective reaction against their own indecisiveness. But there is another group that rejects tattoos, not because of the decision, but because of something much deeper. The identity protector, the skin as a temple. There are people with an extremely strong internal sense of self. Psychologically speaking, they are so secure in who they are that they don't need external symbols to prove it. They view their body as something that is already complete. This type, the identity protector, doesn't need a visual representation of their values on their skin. Their faith, their strength, and their story live internally, in their thoughts and actions. They often perceive tattoos as unnecessary decoration for a masterpiece that is already finished. Their self-acceptance is so high that they can completely withdraw from the pressure of trends or the need for self-promotion. And what about the people who actually love tattoos, but whose skin remains empty anyway? Those are the sentimentalists, waiting for the sacred moment. For sentimentalists, a tattoo shouldn't just be cool. It must have a profound, life-changing meaning. They wait for the one moment, the one loss, or the one victory that is so massive that it deserves to be immortalized in ink. The problem, they set the bar for this moment so high that nothing in real life ever seems good enough. They remain ink-free because they honor the purity of meaning so much that they are afraid of desecrating it with a mediocre design. What we absolutely cannot ignore at this point, the social factor. Impression management, the strategic gaze. Some people abstain from tattoos for reasons of impression management. They are extremely aware of how they are perceived professionally and socially. Although tattoos are mainstream nowadays, some perceive permanent body art as a loss of control over the future perception of their person. They want to retain the freedom to be a blank slate in any situation. This is not a lack of courage, but a strategic awareness of the power of first impressions. But the most fascinating part is coming up. There is a reason that seems almost spiritual. The minimalist of the spirit. For a certain group of people, blank skin is a conscious philosophical decision similar to minimalism in design. They believe that the deepest truths should remain invisible. They don't need external reminders to know who they are or what they love. For them, the absence of ink is not a lack of something, but the presence of clarity. They find depth in simplicity. They prove that you can have a complex identity without having to carry it around on the surface of your body. Conclusion of the rare traits. So if you meet someone without tattoos, look behind the blank facade. You are likely meeting someone with high temporal intelligence, temporal awareness, a strong internal locus of control, a preference for authenticity over symbols, the ability for long-term discipline against short-term trends. People without tattoos are not boring. They are often the architects of their own invisible world. They know that what remains doesn't always have to be made of ink. But what does that mean for you, Hoodie? Are you ready for the pizza or for freedom? True strength means that you don't let yourself be defined by what is on your skin, but by what remains in your heart. And sometimes the empty canvas is the boldest statement of all.
You know what, Owl? I'll stay limited edition in my original condition for now. The pizza tastes just as good without a tattoo on my arm.
A wise decision, Hootie. Your skin stays as flexible as your hunger.
And you? Team full ink or blank skin? Write it in the comments. I'm curious about your reasons. We'll see you in the next deep dive.